Hi everyone, my name is Victoria. I'm a straightforward homemaker who believed her family was ideal. I had no idea, though, that my family was full of traitors. This is the account of how I managed to break free from a toxic relationship and prevent my kids from being abducted. Ian, my spouse, and I were living a wonderful existence. He was making a great deal of money and had a very successful profession. In contrast, I was a modest housewife who was about to have a child. My spouse is an incredibly loving and caring person who looked after me well. It was his compassionate demeanor that drew me to him. I was also treated quite nicely by his family, who welcomed me with open arms. That's why I found it so odd when Annie, his mother, began to despise me out of the blue. At first I could sense she was uncomfortable hearing about my pregnancy. I reasoned that she might be expressing her frustration onto me because she was going through a difficult time. That is, until I told them I was pregnant with twins, and Annie started acting worse. She said, "Oh my God, you are having twins. Please tell me they are boys. Victoria, tell me now." "Yes, Annie, we are having twin boys." I knew it. I knew that my babies would come back to me. I am so happy. I have been waiting for so long. Finally, I will have them in my arms. Annie's behavior and her words really confused me. However, Ian was pretty patient with her and tried to deflect the topic. I decided to ignore her weird comments and wait for things to become clear. After knowing everything, Annie became even more obsessed with my pregnancy. She was always dictating to me about what to do and what not to do. It was frankly getting very annoying. When I refused to heed her advice, she said, "Why are you being so stubborn, Victoria? You are a dumb girl and will end up hurting my children. You need to listen to me. I know what is best for them." "Annie, I know you want the best for us, but trust me, I'm not making mistakes. I have enough guidance from my obstetrician. We are all set. You don't have to worry." "Don't act like you know everything. This just proves how unfit you are to be a mom. Thankfully, the kids will have their real mom once they are born. I can't wait to have them in my arms." Slowly, her behavior became highly alarming. I decided to talk to Ian away from Annie's prying ears, so I asked Ian why Annie kept calling our children hers. He sighed and signaled me to sit down. Ian said, "You don't know about this, but Mom was actually pregnant with twins after I was born. Unfortunately, the twins didn't make it to birth." "Oh my God, that is so sad. But why does she think our twins are hers? That makes no sense." "Mom has some unresolved issues from that time, Victoria. She never got help to overcome her grief. We tried hard to put her into therapy, but Mom just never listened to us. I'm trying to be patient with her. She went through something very traumatic, so I've been gentle with her." "I understand, Ian. I will try to be gentle toward her as well, but if she doesn't get better, we might have to set some boundaries." Hearing Annie's story really broke my heart. My pregnancy hormones were high, and I felt very emotional, so I decided to let her be at least a part of my pregnancy. However, I soon learned that it wasn't enough for her. She wanted my children and was adamant that they were meant to be hers. Her behavior got worse, and Ian had to tell her to back off. Thankfully, she listened to us. Things got a little better after that. However, a few days before my delivery, Annie showed up at the house. We were in the midst of a discussion about Ian's transfer to another city for his job. Annie walked in and said, "Ian told me he will be working from Leah for a while. You will be all alone in this house. I bet it will be a major inconvenience." Yes, we were actually discussing what we can do. Ian has been contemplating leaving his job. "That is ridiculous. You need his income, Victoria. You don't earn any. Do you want to starve the children?" "Of course not, Mom. Why would you even say that? We are just concerned about her being alone right now." "Well, I have a solution for you. I can move in and help you out, Victoria. That is, if you two accept my help. I have raised Ian. I know everything about motherhood. Since Victoria's mom is far away, I can help her for now." "That is actually a good idea. I will be able to concentrate on work knowing all of you are safe. Victoria, what do you say? I think Mom will be of great help. If she wants to take such a big responsibility, then I am fine with it. By then, it had been months since Annie had made her weird comments. In fact, she was actually starting to follow our rules and boundaries, so I saw no harm in having her over. She did have the experience, and it would be a good thing to have her around. At that time, I never knew I was making a mistake. If I had known, I would have never allowed her in my house. Ian was with me when our sons were born. They were all very healthy and perfect in every way. We were very proud parents and showed them off to everyone. Annie was also very happy for us. She did insist on being in the delivery room, but we didn't allow that. Everything was going smoothly until Ian left for his new job. Annie moved in the day before Ian was supposed to leave. She was acting very caring towards me and the kids, so I thought everything would be okay. However, she soon changed after Ian left. Annie became obsessed with my children. Every time I held them, she said, "You need to stop hugging my children. They need to be with me as well. Quit holding them for so long. You don't deserve to spend so much time with them." "What are you talking about, Annie? I need to hold my children. I'm actually feeding them right now." "Absolutely not. You need to hand them over right now. I have the baby formula ready for their meal. There is no need for you to feed them." Annie practically snatched them out of my arms. I was still recovering from postpartum medical problems and wasn't strong enough to deal with this. Annie always did this when I was spending time with the kids. She did take good care of them, but rarely allowed me to spend time with them. When I got a little better, I started to push back and set some boundaries. However, nothing worked to keep Annie at bay. I never told Ian what was happening. He was already stressed being away from us. Knowing Annie was with us, he had some peace. If I complained about her or kicked her out, I knew he would leave his job and come back. We simply couldn't afford that right now, so I bore through the insults and abuse Annie threw at me. Things got worse as the months passed. However, there was one thing that particularly bothered me. Annie kept meeting up with a strange man at my house. She met him every week for a month. The most confusing part was that they always spoke in French, which I didn't understand. Annie was French, so she knew the language. When I asked her about him, she said, "You don't need to butt your head into my business. I can invite whoever I want to this house. You are forgetting that this is my house, Annie. You just cannot call anyone here on a whim." "Shut up, Victoria. I'm a grown woman. I don't have to listen to you. He's my special friend and will be here any time he pleases." Alarm bells went off in my head immediately. I had a very bad feeling about this man, so I decided to snoop in on their conversation. There was a security camera in the living room, and all I had to do was access the footage. I didn't know French, but my best friend Alice knew it very well. I knew that she would get me the answers I wanted. I collected the footage and went over to Alice's house, taking the kids with me as well. I was actually afraid to leave them with Annie. Alice welcomed me to her home and was generally worried about why I showed up randomly. I told her my situation and asked her to hear the recording. She agreed and heard the entire thing. When she was done hearing the full thing, she looked pretty horrified. She looked at me and said, "Victoria, listen to me. You need to go home, pack your bags, and leave with your kids. Do it quickly." "Why, Alice? What's wrong? What was Annie and the man discussing?" "They were going to take your children away from you. Annie planned to take the kids to France and keep them there. Your husband doesn't know about this, and she wants to do it before he comes back from the trip." "Oh my God, are you serious? But how would she do that without my consent?" "That's what the man is for. He was making fake passports for Annie and the kids. I think your mother-in-law is paying him for this job. He's already processed the documents. You need to get out fast." "I'll go and collect my things, but I don't want any doubt. She's going to pay for thinking she can take my child. Will you help me, Alice?" "Of course I will. That's what friends are for. You can stay with your kids at my place. I have plenty of room for all of you. It's better than staying at the house right now." I hurried out of her house and went home as sneakily as possible. I collected our important stuff and went back to Alice's place. The kids were with her the whole time. When night fell and Annie saw us missing, she called me and said, "Where the hell are you, Victoria? It's about 8 at night. How can you be so irresponsible? Where are the kids? They shouldn't be out right now." "Stop shouting at me, Annie. Me and the kids are having a sleepover at my friend's house. We won't be home today." "What? No. Who said you can take the kids for a sleepover? I didn't give you permission. Give me your address so that I can bring back the kids." "I don't need your permission, Annie. I'm their mother, not you. I can take them wherever I want. You need to remember that. Don't be so full of yourself, Victoria. I will have my time. You won't be able to control the kids for long." She said that and hung up on me. I could tell that she was fuming. Thankfully, she didn't know Alice's address, so she didn't have the means to show up at the house. After months of being restless, I was finally feeling peaceful. Alice was a great supporter, and she truly came through for me. When the kids went to bed, I received a call from Ian. He said, "Victoria, Mom called me a while ago. She said she took the kids and went somewhere. She's worried sick. What is going on?" "I was about to call you." "Ian, relax. I'm at a friend's house. I told Annie the same thing, but she's mad at me for taking the kids." "She is pretty mad at you, Victoria. Can't you just tell her when you will be staying out?" "I'm not a child, Ian. Plus, these are my kids. I don't have to take her permission on what I do with my children. You are being ridiculous." "Look, you don't need her permission, but try to be a little amicable with her." At that point, I knew that Ian needed to see the true face of Annie. So far, I had been simply contemplating if I really wanted to punish Annie. However, I realized that she would be in our lives if I didn't take the necessary actions. So I said, "Ian, look, there is something we need to talk about. This is very important. You need to come home." "What is it, Victoria? You sound stressed. Are the kids okay? Are you all right?" "Yes, we are fine. But there is something going on here. I can't tell you when you are not here. Can you please come as soon as possible?" "All right, I'll take a flight tomorrow. Will that be fine?" "Yes, please hurry. Also, don't tell Annie that you are coming back. This is about her, and I don't want her to know I called you." "All right, I won't tell her. Please be safe." "I will be there soon." I was finally feeling relieved that Ian took my concern seriously. However, I was still super panicked. I couldn't sleep at night out of anger and anxiety. Every time I closed my eyes, I thought Annie would come and take away my kids, so I held them and stayed with them throughout the night. The next morning, Ian called me after he got off from his flight. I gave him Alice's address and told him to come ASAP. When he arrived, Ian gave me a hug. He also called the kids and spent some time with them. After a while, Alice arrived, and we knew it was time to talk. I said, "Ian, I know this was very sudden, but I needed you to come home. I'm going to stay at Alice's place for a while." "What happened, Victoria? Why didn't you come home?" "It's because of your mother, Ian. She's been planning to take the kids away from us." "What are you saying? I don't understand." "For the last month, a strange man has been visiting our house almost every day. Annie simply said that he is a friend of hers. They always talked in French, and I didn't understand what they said. I got suspicious of them, so I recorded that conversation. Alice here told me what they had been planning." "That's right. The man kept saying that he had the fake passports prepared, and he said she would take your kids and move to France so that she can raise them without you too." "That's not possible. She is my mom. Why would she do this? I don't believe it." "The recordings are still with me, Ian. I guess she forgot that we have a security camera in the living room. Here, see it. You understand French, so it won't be hard for you to know what they are saying." I showed Ian the footage, and while he simply looked at me with uncertainty after he saw the footage, Ian grew extremely angry. He said, "Alice is right, Victoria. Mom was planning to take our kids to France. Hell, she even told her family back there about her plans. They think you are a horrible mother, and she is doing this to protect the kids. That sounds just like her. All these months we're hell living with her. She always made it clear that she deserves our kids more. We were stupid enough to have her around. I am so sorry, Victoria. I let Mom stay because I thought she would help you. I had no idea she would become like this. Don't say sorry, Ian. It's time we teach her a valuable lesson. We cannot let her get away with this. You are right. Have you thought about anything? I told him my entire plan. We would go to the police and also plan to confront Annie in our house. The plan was to make her confess to everything and catch it on a security camera. We would go for a restraining order against her. Also, we planned to turn her in for forgery of passports. We wouldn't leave her friend as well. They were both going down. After we hatched out our plan, we went straight to the police. Alice also accompanied us there. We submitted the previous recordings and promised to bring more evidence. The police also said that they would follow us to the house when we confront Annie, so we all proceeded towards the house. Our kids stayed at my aunt's place close to the police station. We asked the police officers to stay outside while we confronted Annie. We would call them in if required. Ian and I walked into the house and spotted both Annie and the stranger. They looked like deer in headlights. He said, "Yeah, no. What are you doing here? Why didn't you tell me you were coming?" "Who is this guy, Mom? What is he doing in my house?" "Oh, he is just a friend. He was just leaving. You know, we catch up on our lives from time to time." The guy just waved to us nervously and laughed. We let him go because we knew the police would nab him. Just out of the house with the man gone, we turned to Annie. I said, "So, Annie, is there anything you want to tell us?" "Tell you what, Victoria, you need to answer me about where you took my kids. It's been a day since I saw them." "The good news is you will never see them again. We know all about your plans, Annie. You thought you could just get away with it. You had some explaining to do. Mom, were you really going to take our children away? Why would you even plan something like that?" "I don't know what you are talking about." "Ian, Victoria has been lying to you. She just wants to keep me away from my babies." "You're the one who is lying, Annie. We have your conversation with the guy in our CCTV footage. We know what you have been planning. There is no point in lying anymore." "Fine. Yes, I was going to take my children. They were meant to be mine. Victoria only carried them because I am too old. They are my lost twins. They deserve to be with me." "They are our children, Annie. You are absolutely insane and need help. Your game is up, Annie. We are done with you. We won't allow you around our kids again. Yes, you will never have a relationship with them or us. You need to leave. The police are waiting for you outside. I hope you finally come to your senses and get some help." "No, you can't keep me away from my babies. I won't allow this. I will take them away." At this point, Annie was behaving erratically and was almost aggressive towards us. So Ian went and called the police while I tried to calm her down. She lunged at me and hit me in the face. Of course, the cops saw everything. In the aftermath of the incident, we were able to get an emergency protection order against Annie. We also applied for a restraining order and were approved for it. Annie tried her best to convince the judge that her delusions were true. Thankfully, the judge never listened to her. She was banned from seeing the kids and ordered to go through psychiatric evaluation. Annie was not at all fond of that. A psychiatric ward was required for her. We made the decision to cut off communication with Annie completely. She was never allowed to interact with the kids or with us. Ian got in touch with his aunt, who took over Annie's care. Ian insisted that we would never give Annie financial help ever again. He wanted to keep his family safe and was over her. Ian and I also decided to move close to Ian's place of employment. It would enable us to be close yet avoiding Annie at all costs. Ultimately, Annie lost the rights to her grandkids, and the stranger was tried for their criminal actions. But Ian, the children, and I are doing better and better every day.